Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Tools for Perseverance. I'm Dr. Jessica Wright, and in the next two segments, we are going to be talking about therapy. As each of us are experiencing the stresses of a global pandemic, as well as the social unrest and change that is happening in our nation, as well as just regular life stressors, there are many that are going to therapy for the first time, or they're seeking out a mental health professional for the first time. And so this two-part series is really designed for those individuals to get an idea of what to expect out of therapy. And the content for these two sessions comes from a couple of places, including Dr. Lori Gottlieb's book on therapy that she has written, a wonderful memoir, which I highly recommend, as well as some information from Psychology Today, a popular website on for psychologists to advertise and to get some information about psychology. So I highly recommend considering seeking out a mental health professional if you are struggling with something or looking to move forward past an event. So let's get started. In the first session, we're going to be talking about getting started. We're going to be talking about how to find a therapist and where to go, and how to really get started on the right foot with a therapist. So first things first, how do you find them? Number one, the first issue, unfortunately, has to do with money. So a therapist is going to be someone that you're going to see not just once. You're not going to go into their office and see them just the one time, get a solution, and then move on. In order to engage in really useful therapy, you're going to go back to the same therapist multiple times. And you want to make sure that you're finding someone that you can actually afford to see more than one time. And so the first thing I would do is look at if you have health insurance, look at the health insurance that you have, and then ask yourself what you're able to spend and what you can spend, and find resources for helping to reimburse mental health services. So that's the first thing. Find someone that you'll be able to afford seeing more than once. And if you've got health insurance, the best way to start is look at which providers are covered under your health insurance plan. And the second thing is to look for individuals with experience. So this might be looking for individuals with experience of a particular issue. If you're dealing with something like addiction, if you're dealing with something like a personality disorder, if you're dealing with something like a divorce, you've got all of these different issues. Find someone who has experience dealing with the type of issues that you're looking for, or if you think that you need a particular type of treatment to help you get through the ramifications of trauma, for example, or other treatments that you might think you might be interested in, finding individuals with experience in that area. And then finally, remember, the degree that they have is less important than the relationship that you form with them. So whether they are a licensed social worker, whether they are a clinical psychologist with a PhD, whether they are a psychiatrist with an MD, you have variety of different individuals that work in the mental health industry and can provide therapy. And these individuals are going to be able to help at different levels, and what is more important than the degrees after their name are the relationship that you have with them, the experience that they have treating people and helping people, and then also how well you can work together. Because as we're going to talk about in the next session, your role with this person is going to be very collaborative, and you're going to be doing work alongside them. So your relationship with them is more important than the letters that come after their name. So, in order to get through your first session, here's what to expect. You found someone, you've called and made an appointment, you found online their online scheduling, and you've made an appointment. Congratulations, that's the first step. You've made an appointment, you're going to schedule, and you're going to go in. What do you expect when you go into the first session? Well, I put sessions I put the little parentheses around it because the very first session may not actually be very useful because it's normally a lot of data gathering. So one of the recommendations that I have is to pre-write some of your background. So if before you go into the therapist office, you can have written out some of your experiences, some of who you are, or even some about the problem that you're facing. If you can write it out ahead of time and then give it to the therapist when you enter and you begin the therapy session, what you're doing is helping to expedite some of the initial getting to know you. Now, there's still going to be the majority of the first session is definitely going to be getting to know you. You may be able to pre-write out some of the background to give them, but really the therapist is there getting to understand you and having conversation with you. All right, the next big part about that first session is the logistics. Plan to fill out paperwork, plan to go over signed forms about policies and confidentiality and what happens if you cancel, and plan. There's going to be a lot of logistics, and then you should leave the first session or first sessions with a plan. Okay, so we've gotten to know you, we've identified the thing we're going to work on together. Here's the plan for how to do it. You should leave the first session or at least the second session with an understanding of what the process is going to look like with your therapist. And finally, that little hand icon has been there the whole time because I forgot to hit the animation button, but it's really important. So that relationship that we talked about in the how to find them, your relationship with your therapist is really unique. It's very unique. It's very different than any other human because, number one, your therapist is not your friend. They are not your cheerleader. They should not be your cheerleader. They should not be there just to support the theory that you already have about your problem, right? That's not their purpose. We have friends for that. If you have a therapist who every time you go in, they just listen to you and say, oh, that sounds good. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. And that's all that they're doing. That's not really helping to identify the patterns. We're going to be talking about patterns a lot in the next session. They're not your friend. They should be different than a relationship that you have with your friend. I'm going to skip to the last. They are also not your enemy. If you find that the therapist feels like an adversary, that feels like they're working against you, that's going to be a problem as well. You need to be thinking of them as a working partner. They have a role and you have a role, and collectively the two of you get to unpack and address the different patterns that are causing issues, causing the pain. When we talk next time, we're going to be talking about the presenting problem. The therapist and you, the two of you are in a partnership. So even if the therapist uncovers something very unpleasant, even if together the therapist has, poked at something in you that is painful, that you're not wanting to address, you should get the sense that the therapist is on your side, that they know that it's painful, that they know this is difficult, and they're cheering you on. They're part with you. They're working with you in order to move past this pain that's in existence. You should never feel like the therapist themselves is not on your side, right? They should always feel like they're on your side, even if they're challenging you, even if they're being the one that is uncovering something uncomfortable, because that's really what this is. It's a partnership between you and the therapist to help you move past something that is painful, something that is unhelpful. Okay, this was the first session, and I want to know from you if you'd like to, tell us at academicrequests@houstonmethodist.org, what's the most challenging part of finding a new therapist? If you've ever had to do that, what is the part that challenges you the most? All right, and next time we're going to talk about how to do the work with the therapist, and specifically, how to make sure that your work is moving somewhere, what to expect with the types of things you're going to talk about, and then how to end therapy, right? How does therapy actually end? So we'll talk about that next time. Thanks so much.